This is Mac from Mac's Corner, and sorry I have not been posting for a while. It's not because I don't care, it's because I've been addicted to this Hearts of Iron 4 game. It is my kind of game. If you're a real gamer, and I'm sure most of you are, you know what it's like to find that one game that you're just really into, and for me, this is it. So we all have our niches, but for me, this is it. So I want this to be a productive video, so I will highlight how I got the Big Entente Achievement very briefly, but mostly the point of this video is to let you know that hey, I'm still around. I'm still going to be posting videos frequently. I will be getting back to posting on a daily basis at some point, but this game has just sucked me in, and if you look at my Steam hours, you will see. It's just, this is my kind of game. Well, every game is my kind of game, but this game really, really hits something in me that I enjoy. Now, so this will be a productive video. So, if you remember before, I did do a French strategy guide, which did show you how to be successful with France, and it was successful, and I have been successful with them on many a playthrough. However, about a week of my time was spent trying to get the Big Entente Achievement, because no matter how successful you were with France, I could never beat Germany before in 1937. Well, when they went to Czechoslovakia, anyways. At that point, where they, basically where we interfered with Czechoslovakia, I could never beat Germany before Italy became an Axis, and I could never beat Italy before Japan became an Axis. And oh, by the way, by the time this little MFO, oh yeah, we'll zoom out, becomes an Axis, all of a sudden the Allies get involved. And I would be the primary person to invade Germany, Italy, and Japan. But at the end of the day, when the negotiations came, oh yeah, I got a premier spot. I would get to claim lots of land. This is not the example about that, because this is the good example. But anyways, I would get to claim lots of land, except somewhere along the line, some little MFO from the Allied side would give Germany one little stinking province and make them a democracy. And since we are a democracy, we couldn't really go to war with them. Long story short, I tried all sorts. I literally conquered Germany probably about 10 times. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Long story short, France can be successful, but they can't beat the Soviet Union and the United Kingdom. The Soviet Union can't outlive the Allies, and it's just a freaking mess. Because maybe if you could go communist early with France, I suppose, but that's hard. So, if you're having trouble with the Big Entente Achievement, and I think you probably are, because when I look at, I didn't plan it, but when I looked at my little achievement thing, it's one of the rarest achievements on Steam. So, yay for me, I guess, but really I want to help everybody else do it. Enough babbling. So, I've already done it, so I can't show you, but I can talk you through it. Now, as far as I can tell, it's impossible to do it if you wait until Germany tries to annex Czechoslovakia. If somebody can prove me wrong, by all means, please, I would love it. But as far as I can tell, it's not possible. How I did it was I kept having to reload an Iron Man over and over. It was pretty freaking annoying. Until finally, when Germany tried to grab the Rhineland and we challenged it, A, the UK did not back us up, and B, when we tried to do it ourselves, Germany went to war. That's how I just did it, and I'll talk through that in a second. Now, the one thing I did not know, I'm not with Germany so I can't show you, but apparently, and I did not realize this, if you challenge Germany and they stand down from the Rhineland, they lose the ability to like try and grab Austria and all of that other stuff where they diplomatically grab shit. They can't do it. If they don't go to war with you, either they go to war with you or they can't grab all that stuff. So initially, I thought, well, you had to freaking wait until we could go to war. And trust me. Oh my god, the number of times it took to get that right is ridiculous. But I haven't done it yet, but there may be a way to do it even if you don't go to war and you challenge them from remilitarizing the Sudetenland. Because if I read everything correct, then they can't annex Austria, and that whole path they can't go down. So I haven't tried that yet, but it's something to consider. Now, as for what I did, I kept going till we went to war. Now, if you choose the route I did, be advised, there's a little rebellion that happens right here, so just be prepared for it. The first time, I wasn't ready for it, and admittedly, it got me. They're like right next to Paris, and oh, by the way, if you see your national unity, it doesn't take much. Like literally, if the Germans come in and capture a couple towns, or the rebels take, well, Paris for sure, but even other stuff, you're done. So you got to be ready for it. There'll be a rebellion here with units, and there'll be some land down here that goes away, but at least for me, there wasn't units. So just be ready for here, and at least one unit to grab land here, and keep enough here where they can't penetrate. I'll tell you an honest lesson learned. I won the rebellion, I had my all units up here, and I was thinking, oh, let them come in here. Like, look how narrow that gap is. I was going to let them come in a little bit, and I was thinking, oh, I'll like sweep my forces here, cut them off, and annihilate them. Problem is, our national unity is so shitty, excuse my language, that just these couple of towns and France gave up. So, hard lesson learned. So don't do that either. Now, going to war with Germany early. It is rough. The good news is you outnumber them division-wise. The bad news is, division for division, they're like way better than you. And guess what? See this little narrow gap? It's like, you've heard of the Spartans, right? And what, Thermopylae, I think it was. But, you know, you have a narrow place, high quality defenders can hold it against a much larger force. So breaking through this, that's the hardest part. And I'm not going to tell you it was easy for me. I'll just tell you I was able to do it. If I remember correctly, it was mostly breaking down here and up here. I did use armor, but armor this early really against fortifications is not that effective. And keep in mind that we're talking early game here. So France has not had the ability to produce much or get army experience to reorganize much. But they do have a lot of divisions. So, keys to success. 1, Yugoslavia did not join the alliance, but Czechoslovakia and Romania did for me. If these two had not, if Czechoslovakia had, and or Romania had, I don't know if I could have pulled it off. I was able to pull it off without Yugoslavia. Ideally, it will be all three. If you can pull it off without all of them, or with only one of them, more power to you. But it was hard enough just with these two, and I begged for Yugoslavia in my head to join the fight. So this part is kind of actually the hardest part. You gotta break out of this shit, because they've got better quality units, you have more units. And as long as they can bottleneck you, you're screwed. I pretty much forced my way down here. and a few units up here and had them pull back. I got Czechoslovakia to join the war, and basically I had to manually start pushing units, and I put everything on aggressive, so this one, and it was just like push, push, push. Anytime there was an unoccupied land, push, force them to pull back. Encircle if you can. Once again, they're unit per unit, they're better. You have more, so use that to your advantage, and because of that, the longer the front line, like in a typical game with France, a longer front line is bad if you're waiting. But in this particular situation, you want a longer front. So push this open, extend the front as much as you can. You know, grab Czechoslovakia, bottleneck them in. Just any open space, move an infantry unit in. I don't want to say don't worry about getting surrounded, but don't let that be a primary concern. You just gotta push, 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 because the longer the front line is, the more it is to your advantage. And the key element to why this is successful is not because you're more powerful earlier. Frankly, it's a lot harder in a lot of ways to deal with Germany earlier, but because you're engaging them at an earlier portion of the game. Keep in mind, this is if you challenge them with the Rhineland and they go to war with you. You're so early in the game that if you can manage your stuff right, you can beat them before Italy becomes an Axis member. So in this particular game, which I'm showing you, I was able to defeat Germany before Italy became Axis, and because I was a primary contributor, got to grab all the territory. I think maybe they got to grab one, but they never made him a puppet. And this is how I got the Entente Achievement. If you see my other France strategy guide, it's a great guide. It does teach you how to be much more successful than this with France. But the challenge with doing that and trying to get the achievement is you'll go through and beat everybody, and I think I've already mentioned it, but when the treaty comes, the little allied bastards give Germany one little province. And yeah, I've already talked about it, so no need to dive back into that. If you have questions, though, let me know, and I'll let you know. So this is what worked for me. I am currently about 50% of the way through with a Germany guide to, what's the achievement called? New World Order, that's it. Because, I think I've mentioned it before, in one of my initial playthroughs with Germany, which I recorded, and I think my strategy guide was about, we literally had conquered the entire world, had the entire world Axis, and the entire world fascist, except little MFO New Zealand. Would not go fascist, even if 99% of their population wanted it, and because they were an Axis member, I couldn't do nothing about it. So, I've got a new video kind of trying to demonstrate the best way to do it, but I haven't refined it yet, so I'll post that when it's refined. And I think that's about it. Key thing with France is, if you want the Big Entente Achievement, you got to go early. One of two ways. The guaranteed way is challenge them when they try and reoccupy the Rhineland, and if you go to war, I can explain it in detail if you really need, but you're just going to have to kind of figure it out. You got to go to war then, and you got to win with the little Entente Alliance. Now, the other strategy, which I didn't realize and would have tried if I had, even if you challenge them and they back down so you don't go to war, my understanding, based off looking at the German stuff, as long as you challenge them and they back down, They can no longer annex Austria. They can't. The whole chain of events that causes them to get all this territory, they can't do. So when wartime comes, it will still be much more in your favor. Austria being the huge one, because if you can prevent Italy and Germany from linking up, that's huge. Because one of the biggest headaches is trying to go to war with Germany, almost beating them, and have Italy join the Axis, and all of a sudden they're freaking flooding. Oh, if you've tried it, you know. And I guess I've yabbled on enough. Hope all is well. Hope you enjoyed. I know this is not the most in-depth guide. More detailed guides will be incoming, but I literally have been working on this for like a week now and figured I might as well demonstrate some progress. It's like capitalism. You gotta prove a profit, right? Well, I gotta prove I'm at least like showing some progress before you give up on this, so I hope you guys do well. I'll talk to you later.